Stay cool, eat fresh fruits, dress down and be comfortable. Most importantly, keep hydrated. These are just some tips you can follow in order to beat this summer heat. Another way would most definitely be to visit cooler places across the island, like Clydesdale in St. Andrew. But we'll get to that a little later. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. We have an interesting show lined up just for you. So grab your water, turn on your fan or AC, and stay tuned.
Water is precious. So we encourage everyone to practice the 4 R's of water conservation. Always remember to reduce your use of water wherever possible. Replace water wasting devices with water savings devices. Reuse water wherever possible. And wherever leaks are found, please repair them and repair them quickly.
Don't delay. Practice the 4 R's of water conservation today.
Today we continue our conversation with the Administrator General's Department, learning more about its role and functions and how the department has been serving you over the years.
Welcome to the final part of a 2-part interview with the Administrator General's Department. Last week we spoke about some of the roles and functions of this very important department. If you missed it, here's a recap.
Role of the Administrator General's Department is to administer estates of persons who died without leaving a will and leaving the estate unadministered, where their children under 18 minors.
In 2015, there was an amendment to the Administrator General's Act, which allows the Administrator General to issue its own grant known as Instrument of Administration.
Today, we look at how the AGD assists with handling entitlements of loved ones after death. We are joined once again by Estate Administration Executive, Ms. Ingrid Cole, and Senior Legal Executive, Ms. Kadia Delahaye. Ladies, welcome once again to the program. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having us again.
So we're going to talk about entitlements firstly. Tell me, how do you go about handling a situation where a child's father dies, but his name is not, his or her name is not on the child's birth certificate? How do we deal with that? How do you deal with that?
Okay, well, certainly the child would not be disinherited. What will happen is that we will require of the child to provide us with proof that he's indeed a beneficiary in the estate and is entitled to benefit from the assets of his or her father. So we will require a declaration of paternity, which can be obtained from the court, any of the courts in Jamaica, the family court or the Supreme Court. There's also an affiliation order, and that may be, maybe the person may have taken the gentleman to court for maintenance. That affiliation order would be accepted. Also, during the lifetime of the parents, if the father had signed documents to say that this is his child, then that would also be accepted. And, incidentally, we are imploring fathers, please put your name on your children's birth certificate. It will help in the long run. And so what we do in the interim, though, the assets, we continue to administer the estate. And so we will call in the assets. We will ascertain what those are, the persons where they used to work, or we'll write to institutions. They may have funds in the bank. And then once we ascertain the assets, then we get the legal document that Ms. Kadia Delahaye spoke to last week.
Yes.
And that document now is used to collect the assets. Once we collect the assets, we invest the funds, and like if they're property, we will rent the property to collect rent, and then we use the funds to take care of the beneficiaries, of course, the proven beneficiaries. So even that child was not yet obtained paternity, that funds would be reserved for that child, that asset,
Yes.
until the documents are presented to us in terms of the proof of the relationship to the deceased.
Yes.
So we continue administration, pay up the liabilities, and then the assets that are there, we use to take care. So we'll maintain the child, send the child to school, we take care of medical and any other related expenses of that
Remind us of the documents that the parent or the child will need to take.
Okay, so we will require the birth certificate of the child. We also require the form of particulars to be completed. Now, wherever the assets are, bring in the proof of the assets. So if there's a motor vehicle, bring in the certificate of fitness, certificate of registration, the insurance, and the motor vehicle title. Bring those in. If there's a registered property, bring in the title, the duplicate certificate of title. If there's no duplicate certificate of title and you have a indenture or any valid land paper, we will take that, whether it's a receipt or otherwise. We will take those in. And then after we get the grant of administration, we will advertise, for anybody who may owe, who may be a creditor then. And then that is, once we ascertain what the creditors, any debts that are paid, we pay the debts in the estate. And then afterwards, the assets that remain will go to the beneficiaries. When the child attains 18, then we distribute the assets to the beneficiaries.
Let's focus now on the entitlements of spouses. Firstly, tell us, who is a spouse?
Well, under Jamaican law, spouse includes a person who has gone through the traditional way of marriage, as in you went before a pastor and you got married. And also persons who have been living together as husband and wife for at least 5 years, right? Those persons are classified as spouse. Under Jamaican law, once the person has died intestate, the spouse is entitled to benefit depending on, and the share of the spouse depends on the number of children that the deceased would have died leaving. So if it is that at the time of death, the deceased died leaving one child, then the spouse is entitled to 2/3 of the estate, of the residue estate. When we say residue, we mean after all liabilities have paid, whatever is left, the spouse is entitled to 2/3 of that, including chattels. If you have more than one...
And chattels means property?
No, chattels mean like furniture, jewelry. If this deceased had a personal car, the spouse would also be entitled to those. If the deceased died leaving children, then the spouse is entitled to half.
And the spouse is man or woman?
Right, and the spouse can be man or woman. And so the spouse would be entitled to half of the residue of the estate. Previously, there was no requirement. Well, the law did not specifically state that a common law spouse, which is the person, when the person have been living together for 5 years, would require order. The 2015 amendment now requires that the spouse, that a person who is claiming to be a common law spouse, goes to court and obtain a court order establishing that person as such. As it relates to our administration of estate, where we have common law spouse, that person will normally report themselves as a spouse and will require an order. Until they have obtained an order, we don't consider those persons as a beneficiary. We'll have them down as a tentative beneficiary, but until they have obtained that order, they're not legally a beneficiary under the estate.
Okay, all right. Let's move now from the entitlements back to some of your other services. You do carry out some more services,
yes,
right?
we do.
Let's talk about those.
Yes, we have what you call funeral expense advance. And what that is that we recognize that when persons die and they have assets like funds in the bank, and no other named persons are on the account, then they do have a difficulty when it comes to burying the person. So we offer the services of instructing the institution to pay over funds to the funeral home to allow that person to be buried. But we require that you submit to us our form of particulars duly completed, the burial order, the invoice from the funeral home, and our processing fee of $2,000 and an ID of the person who is requesting that.
And you also do motor vehicle transfer to spouses. You also help in that regard. Talk to us about that.
Well, motor vehicle transfer to spouses, we offer that service whether or not the estate is with us. However, what we ask the person to do is to do what we call an indemnity, because a spouse is not automatically entitled to motor vehicle, they're only entitled to it if there are no liabilities. So for estate where we're administering, if it is that there are liabilities and the liabilities will not allow us to transfer the motor vehicle, then we won't. For estates where we're not administering, the person is required to do an indemnity to the Administrator General to say that if indeed there are liabilities, then I'm going to stand the cost and pay back the money. So those are some of the services that we offer.
Well, that's it for our conversation with the Administrator General's Department. We hope you found it useful. Thank you, Estate Administration Executive Ingrid Cole and Senior Legal Executive Keda Della Hay. And thank you for watching. You can find more information on the Administrator General's Department on their various social media platforms. Until next time, take good care.
The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, has extended the validity of all voters' IDs. Yes, I said it. All voters' IDs are valid until December 31, 2019. Businesses are being asked to continue to accept voter ID cards as a valid form of identification. Don't worry, the ECJ will continue to process new and replacement ID cards until the new expiration date. For more information, call toll-free at 1-888-991-8683 or email eojinfo@eoj.com.jm. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, committed to free and fair elections.
Former Prime Minister Edward Seaga loved football and was instrumental in the success of the Tivoli Gardens Football Club. It was only fitting that he was honoured by the community and athletes in a friendly game between the Tivoli Gardens All-Star and the Premier League Clubs Association.
Mr. Seaga is a king for Western Kingston and a whole where sport is concerned.
He would have been proud, and I know he's looking down at us and say, well done community, well done guys.
If you notice, most of the inner city community used to have Premier League team representing them, and they have something that can galvanize, they can galvanize around, come together around. And I think that was one of his most important contribution to the society. He gives this inner city community something that all community members can be proud about.
Being at every training session, being at every game and seeing him sitting on the sideline and motivating the boys, which is just telling you that's a great motivation for all of us.
It was a very well all-star setup to represent the life and passing of Mr. Edward Seaga. The past players of Tivoli Garden, and as you can see, neighbouring community at Arnold Garden, national players, representative, even having the coach there though with me here. So it was totally a bunch of entertainment and love in regards to how Mr. Edward Seaga loved the sports of football and sports in regards to everything.
I think he made a vast contribution, a vital contribution to football in Jamaica. He definitely raised the bar and put on another level.
Mr. Seaga did everything to help this community and a whole. For instance, the pride for Tivoli right now is the drum corps, which is still alive. You have folk singers, you have dancers, you have everything that we young people did need to be somebody.
Yeah, they say Mr. Seaga on the television have this larger-than-life person. But when he spoke to me about coaching the side from, the first time I met him, we sit down and we have discussion, and he was just down to earth and very knowledgeable about the game of football and very passionate about the Tivoli community. He's the kind of person that seeing that person and interacting with him is totally two different things.
You have to lead from in front, and he has done that, and throughout the time he was in this world, and I'm very proud to, just looking back to say I've represented this club here.
Eddie was a good man, very, very, very good man. He was pleasant, he was nice. For instance, look at Tivoli School, Eddie. Look at Denham Town Primary School, Eddie. He deal with us very, 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 very good indeed. In many occasions, Mr. Seaga was great to the people of Western Kingston and the people of Jamaica on a whole. Speaking to you now, the feelings good, man. We miss somebody good, really good.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come here. Take time running, are we ready for the ops? Drive up on your block, step out now me block, cyber take about your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence to drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underground. Sin you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Feel say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. Feel say you get wet, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
MOCA, MOCA.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash no paper, no dash no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
It's summer, and what better way to beat the heat than by visiting the hills of St. Andrew, interacting with locals and enjoying the scenery, not to mention swimming in untouched waters. Come make we go around the bend in Kingston and St. Andrew and see what more the parishes have to offer.
I am on the southeastern end of the island, washed by the Caribbean Sea, bounded by St. Andrew to the east, west, and the north. I may be little, but guess what? Me talawa. this isn't really about the history of Kingston, but if it was, I'd tell you that it's been crafted from beneath our shores and extends across the harbor further inland, where the musical beats of ska, reggae, and mento were formed.
The music industry has been quite well documented, and to my recollection, it started more of an effort to play music that other people couldn't play than as an industry. It kind of unearthed that spirit, that creative spirit in Jamaicans, and we broke all of the recording rules, but we came up with a product that kind of represented the kind of Jamaican spirit, and that indomitable spirit, and it gave a sort of voice or expression to our Africanness. From the 70s, 80s, 90s, Jamaica celebrated a number of great icons. You know, we talk about the Ernest Smiths, the Pluto Shervintons, the Dennis Browns, you know, the Gregory Isaacs, the Alton Ellis, and then we get into the megastar region, like the Jimmy Cliffs and the Peter Tosh, and then the Bob Marleys. Reggae is the soundtrack of our lives, you know. Reggae is of us, about us, with us, and it has remained true to us as a Jamaican expression.
Oh my God. What? I don't remember the link. So after that tubs of knowledge about Kingston's musical history, you must be hungry. So come, we'll go down a town. It is commonly believed that Coronation Market is located on an old African burial ground and was called Duppy Market before being given its royal name.
Coronation Market, we have melon over here, we have other things, variety. So you can come down and get fruits, vegetables, scallion, onion over there, you name it. Reasonable at a reasonable cost.
Thank you. Bad piece of soup, yeah. If you thought it was only food being offered here in downtown Kingston, then guess again. Do you remember when I told you earlier that Kingston was bordered by St. Andrew? Well, it's time to cross that border and explore the other side. Jamaica is famous for its Blue Mountain grade of coffee, and right now we're at one of the first coffee estates that was founded in the late 1700s. Welcome to Clydesdale.
It's always been an interesting place because the place is full of history, but it's also very interesting from the point of the environment and nature. There's a swimming hole near here where I've been going to swim, and whenever people visit, we always make a trip to Clydesdale. This is the mill house, and there's a vertical water wheel at the other end of the building, outside of the building, that the stream turned, and we can see the remains of the horizontal water wheel that was connected to the water wheel that had the millstones, I think, to grind the coffee. The other interesting feature is that the roof is constructed. You can see the load of the roof comes down to the center as well as out to the walls, and the verticals came down and carried the load through the beams and down through the columns to the ground. This seems to be the residence, and I say that because there's an obvious kitchen area, which is an outside cooking area that's set up with stove and so on. There's a herb garden outside. Inside here you see the remains of toilets and basins. You need to step carefully and watch out for rusty nails. There's a fireplace, which is an upstairs and downstairs fireplace.
Clydesdale is a nice place. The environment, the climate, the river them, you know, it's nice, and you come by Clydesdale and you can just sit in you can absorb a fresher breath. For them say by the tree, you live more healthier.
We've been having so much fun today and our time together is almost over. But before it does, I have a surprise just for you. I bet you thought that was a surprise, but nope, we're not there yet, so let's keep going. Nestled in the hills of St. Andrew in the Bowden district, opposite the Hermitage Dam, it's the Scenic Fallen Edge waterfalls. Let's go. Do I go to the right or do I go to the left? Guys, take the left. I hope you had a great time on the scenic tour of Kingston and St. Andrew. Don't just sit and watch it on your TV. Go on out and explore. These and other parishes await.
Hurricanes can strike at any time. In the event of one, be prepared to act quickly. If a hurricane watch or warning has been issued, review your home disaster response plan. Map out likely routes to evacuate if your home is at risk and confirm with relatives or friends you plan to stay with. Also, confirm the location of the nearest shelter. Check your emergency supplies and restock if necessary. Remember, disasters do happen, so be prepared.
Thanks for watching another edition of Jamaica Magazine. Do join us again tomorrow and we'll do this all over again. Send your feedback on today's show to jamaicamagazine@gis.gov.jm. Follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Download our app on your Apple and Android devices. And you can also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.